How's everybody doing? Hope you are all okay. So, I was wanting to have a think today about what is holding you back. Now, we are slowly creeping out of lockdown, and I know that there's some hesitation about whether or not we're going to be thrown back in again or not, but certainly life definitely feels like it's getting back to normal slowly but surely. And I've been messaging a few people, thinking about, what's changed really for us all. And one thing that's really come up, certainly for me, and for others I know as well, is that it's been a really great time of reflection. Now, I know that everybody's experience of lockdown hasn't been the same, and I know that some people have had a really terrible experiences of health for themselves or for their loved ones. But, keeping it to the subject of, what's holding us back, and thinking about that time of reflection that we've all had, to really be able to sit and consider our values, what's important to us, and what changes we want to make in our life for the future, or what changes have been made during lockdown that we want to keep hold of. And we can go anywhere that we want with this. Like, there are no limitations. This can be big, this can be small. But I want to think about what are the things that get in the way of us either making those changes or maintaining those changes. So what stops us from going after our desires? And, regardless of whether or not this is a small lifestyle change or whether this is something big, we all have our own kind of reservations and preconceived ideas, either from ourselves or from others, or what we think others think, that hold us back. So I think the first thing really is to, the first thing really is to kind of consider what it is that you want. Like, what is it that, if there were no objections in the way, that you would want to do, that you would want to change, or that you would want to achieve? That's the first thing. And then the second thing, I think, is what actually prevents you from doing that. So is that time? Is that money? It's never really time and money, to be honest with you. It's usually self-limiting beliefs, thinking that you can't do it, or that you're not good enough to do it, or that you haven't got the time to do it, or that you haven't got the skill to do it, or worrying about what other people will think if you do it. And that's a really interesting one, because it's like, what will other people think of me if I do it and fail? And then what will other people think of me if I do it and achieve? And both are quite complex, actually, by themselves, and definitely warrant consideration, because they're very real. And generally speaking, we really do care about what other people think of us. We really do care about other people's opinions, and we care if we fail. Like, if we get it wrong, we might care about what they think about that. But equally, we also can worry about what they might think if we do well, and if we do it, and how our relationships change, and how those dynamics change, and all the repercussions, if you like, that come with that. So that's a really important one to consider, and acknowledging, first of all, whether or not having those fears about other people's opinions are valid. Like, are they valid? Are they right? Or is that just what you think that they're going to think? And I suppose accepting that, regardless of whether you don't achieve it straight away, I don't really like the word failure because that feels a bit negative. But like if you try something and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you can't try it again. It doesn't mean that just because you didn't achieve it well the first time, that you won't achieve it the second time or the third time. And actually, even if you don't achieve it, so what? Like it doesn't matter. The fact is that you tried, and like that in itself is a step in the right direction because you tried something that was out of your comfort zone. So, I mean, when we're talking about making changes in our lives, however big or however small, failure is a natural part of that. Failure is a really fundamental part of that. And I always liken it to like a baby starting to walk, or a child learning how to ride a bike. Like a baby falls over when they're learning to walk, and nobody thinks, like the baby nor anybody else wouldn't think anything of it. And exactly the same for a child learning to ride a bike. It's part of the process, and it's a very, very necessary part of the process. So regardless of whether you're thinking about fitness, diet, academia, or a family situation, things aren't always going to be smooth sailing all of the time. So kind of get comfortable with that, really, and be okay with that, and understand the lessons that are there to be learnt with that, which are, I would say inevitably invaluable, because that's how we learn. There's also, and it's that learning process, which is what takes you from being good to great. It's like the bruises and the bumps and the scars that you learn, that you acquire along the way, are what gives you your finishing edge, if you like. But there's also fear of, like the fear of the getting it wrong can sometimes hold you back, but all by itself, like too much. If you're pushing a boundary and you think it's going to be uncomfortable, you kind of concentrate yourself on the discomfort rather than the outcome. And I think it's about understanding that doing something different, doing something new is a process, and that there are going to be bits that are really easy and there are bits that aren't going to be easy, and that's just how it kind of goes. I think about, me now running my own business, and doing what I do is easy. Like doing my coaching, doing my therapeutic work is easy. Easy, not just easy, like fabulous and absolute pleasure. But being self-employed means that I've got to do all sorts of other stuff, like marketing and accounting and kind of like tracking stuff and doing all of that. And I absolutely hate all of that. I hate it, but I also know it's a really necessary part of running your own business, is being able to know what's going on and being able to kind of like have your finger on the button, as it were. So, what is it that you are wanting to do, and what is it you're wanting to achieve, and what is it that is holding you back from that, and is what you think is holding you back. Is that right English? Is what you think is holding you back. That sounds terrible. The real thing that is holding you back, or is it a smoke screen for something else that's going on for you? So if you are somebody who likes to procrastinate, so as I said, like whenever I'm on a call with somebody who's wanting to work, and we're doing like goal setting work, and we're thinking about what the fears are and what the barriers are that get in the way. Time comes up all the time, like it's not the right time. I need to do this first, or I need to do this first, or I need to wait till this has changed or this has happened. And that's just excuses. Like 9 times out of 10, there's no reason why you can't start doing something right away. Because that's the thing, like nothing happens overnight, right? Nothing is an immediate quick fix. Nothing happens that quickly that you can't start it right now. So whatever it is that you want to do, there is a process in place that you can start now, like right now. Waiting for the right time, it's like having a baby. It's like there's never a right time. There's never a perfect time to have a baby. There will always be things that either are going to make it harder or are going to be obstacles in your way, especially if you're talking about kind of like career or finances or living accommodation or anything like that. But I mean, you've just got to kind of get on with it and do it. And wanting something to be done perfectly is another form of procrastination. So it's better to get something done and started rather than waiting for it to be absolutely perfect. So if you're waiting for it to be absolutely perfect, the chances are it probably never will be. And, you know, as I said, these things take time. So, you know, knowing that it takes time, knowing that it's a process is really important, but also knowing that like if you're somebody that suffers with impatience, like I'm like massively impatient, that can be a real obstacle in the way, because you want things done immediately or you want things to happen quickly and they're not happening quickly. So know that these things are going to take time and have a realistic time frame set out for how long it's going to take or how long it's going to comfortably take for you to do it, given everything else that's going on for you at that time. And then just, you know, slowly start working towards whatever it is that you want to, achieve. Follow your instincts as well, I think, is a really helpful thing to consider. You know, I've said about procrastination and wanting things to be perfect. There's also room there for just actually knowing in your belly really whether something feels right or whether something doesn't feel right, and actually just going with your instinct. Because if it's something that you really want to do, and there's so who was I talking to about this the other day? I was talking to somebody about it and they said I can't decide whether to do it. And it was quite a big decision. Like, it was a career. I've just remembered who it was now. It was quite a big career decision about whether or not to do one thing or whether or not to follow a different path and do something completely different. Because one was very practical and kind of like secure and the right thing to do. And the other one was really heart-centered and creative and really kind of like made her heart happy. So we talked it through and it was like, there's no reason why you can't do both. There's no reason why you can't either do them both separately and have one as a career and the other one as a full, like a fun hobby, and then kind of like build up. But actually, we actually found a way that you could actually integrate them both together as well, so that you were kind of getting the best of both worlds. That might not be applicable to every situation, but, you know, her instinct at that time, and I could see it on her face, was that one thing was the right thing to do, but was very very head-led, but she had no heart for it. And the other thing she knew was very heart-led, but there was no kind of, at this stage, there was no kind of business sense to it. And I'm a really massive one on follow your heart. Like, I know that, you know, financially we all need to be in a position where we're being sensible and, you know, what have you. But actually, if there's any space that you can do both, then do both, because like there's got to be balance in the world. There's always got to be balance. You've got to be able to love what you're doing regardless of what it is. So thinking about, you know, what you need to do in order to commit to doing something different is actually, two things: committing to the process, and then having good structure and routine. I think once you've commit to the process, then one wants to be really focused on the outcome, because it's very difficult. We can really definitely lose our way. You know, all of the examples I've given before about either it taking too long, or it being too difficult, or it being too scary, or like dropping the ball along the way. If you're committed to the outcome, then you see that as part of the process, and you see that as a necessary part of the process. But it's also really important to have really good structures in place and really good routines in place, so that any changes that you make become habit really quickly. And I can't remember how long it takes to form a habit, but it's really, really quick. But it does take maintenance. So if you're doing something, let's say you're doing either exercise or learning, even if you're only committing to half an hour or an hour a day, every day, that is going to massively, that is going to have a massive impact on you. If you think about all of the things that you wish you'd started a year ago, I mean, there are so many things like, God, if I'd have just done it when I wanted to do it then, like, where would you be now? If you commit half an hour, not like 7 days a week, but let's say 5 days a week, you commit half an hour or an hour every day, what do you think you'd achieve in 6 months? Like, don't get me wrong, you're not going to achieve a PhD. Like, I completely get that. But you can get so much achieved in 6 months, or in a year, or in 2 years, if you just commit to that. So go bold, ladies. You know, think about what it is that you want. Think about what it is that is holding you back from that, and be balanced about whether or not that's real, whether that's realistic, or whether or not it's a smokescreen. I bet you it's a smokescreen. Take care.